Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Podcast. I'm your host, David Lamb. On this podcast, we'll be stripping property investors and business people alike back to brick to find out how their journey can help you on your journey.
This podcast is brought to you by Orange Sales and Lettings. If you know someone that is looking to sell or let a home, please get in touch. Referral fees are available. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Show, sponsored by Orange Sales and Lettings, the North East's property experts. I'm your host, David Lamb. My guest today is Nick Smith. He is a HMO specialist, developer, and founder of 369 Developers. He's producing some absolutely stunning professional HMOs. Nick's Instagram is a gold mine of insight, and today he's sharing the lessons he's learned from building his high-yield portfolio. Nick has also just been awarded Hairline of the Year in Property for 2025. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, David.
That was a great hairline, mate.
Thank you, mate.
I'm very jealous.
I get that quite a lot, actually, on my Instagram DMs.
Do you?
I get people sliding in for the wrong reasons. But
That's not how we met. But.
No, exactly. I mean, thanks for having me on the show. Pleasure to be here, finally.
Yeah.
It's been
a long time coming, hasn't it?
About a year and a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, we've been threatening, haven't we?
Yeah,
exactly. It was going to be over Zoom, and it's never quite the same.
It's not the same, and obviously getting a bit of time up here today. Took the private jet with my entourage. I'm only joking. It was only BA with our friends, but yeah, it was nice. Good trip up here this morning.
Is this your first time in the North East then, or for a while?
No, so not for property. It's not. No, I used to come up here on events and dance events and stuff. Obviously, in my previous businesses, so I've been up here a few times. So I know about the Met Raw.
Yeah,
yeah. Coming out the airport today, it was very very quick, mate. To come in here, jump on the train and come back.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like it's been a dream. So I feel like I know you really well because we've chatted, like you say, for over a year on the Instagram and the WhatsApps, etc. But when I was making some notes for the podcast this week, I realised I know very little about your backstory. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what life was like before property.
So when I used to be a chef when I was first, I'm not going to go too far back, but yeah, I used to be a chef. Done that coming out of school/college, and then used to work inside an airport. Used to be a flight dispatcher, and then moved on to chauffeuring/taxi work. And I created a chauffeur company for about 10, 12 years I was doing that for. Got quite well known in the industry for, getting celebrity clients and dealing with a lot of corporate clients as well. I used to do Call of Duty. I used to do some footballers, some celebrities, and I used to drive quite a lot for Louis Spence as well.
Right.
So I used to niche the work a little bit. Instead of just being a chauffeur, I used to do sort of road management for them at the same time. So where I used to obviously treat them like people, I never not had work because they used to think it's just a normal person. Whereas sometimes they used to get in the car, they used to be treated different. Yeah. Which obviously I just thought they're human, which they are, and that's why they
appreciated that.
Yeah, I think I could write a book. So if there's any publishers out there, hook me up, 369 Developers, and so done that, and then sold the company. And the reason why I sold the company was I realised I've got an autistic daughter, love her to pieces. I knew for a very young family, my clients didn't want me to leave, but I knew, and they knew as well, that it wasn't my path. Mm-hmm. And they sort of, seeing what they do, the type of properties they live in, and, the amount of money they're getting and stuff, it did drive me. It drove me a lot. Realising and thinking, I want to be driven in, an S-Class one day rather than me driving them or going on holiday to, Dubai or anywhere like that and flying the private jets. That's me. And just making sure my family are good. And, so I sort of sold the company and here I am staying property.
Did you ever discuss those aspirations with the sort of celebrities? Did you ever pick the brains on how it feels to have that level of wealth and sort of ask them for maybe bits of advice on how you could improve?
I did have a few conversations with celebs, obviously when they were in the car, because it's very personal, as you can imagine. A lot of them actually, where I had a lot of business ideas about properties, learning about it and stuff, they actually asked me about how, they've got money here, they're going to go and try and pay off their mortgage or whatever. I'm like, don't do that. Do this instead. You want to go and live in Spain or Morocco or wherever, Cyprus, go and buy a property out there, do that up, come back, try and sell this, remortgage. And a lot of the time, they were the ones that were sitting there doing what I wanted to do. So it was very sort of surreal. I was like, they're doing what I want to do, and I can clearly do this, and they're making good money from it. So
where did that knowledge come from for you at that time?
So I learned all of my stuff on YouTube, Google, mainly, like I said, Instagram, and I basically sort of self-taught myself education-wise when it comes to learning about HMOs, learning about buy-to-lets, and there's obviously a few other guests, which I'm sure you're probably going to have on this podcast after we've spoken. So yeah, I had the likes of Alistair Farquhar I learned a lot from with his HMOs and his knowledge and stuff that he provides. And I also learned a lot from James Property. So he was doing a lot of stuff up in Hull, and he was obviously a kid coming out of university, took his university loan, created beautiful properties. And I just followed his journey from where he is. And I still follow him and talk to him like daily today.
Oh, right, okay.
So yeah, a lot of them people, like I said, that I've learned from. And then when you sort of learn what they're doing, you then look into it a bit further. And it's just, I don't know, it just keeps spiraling every single day. And then I've met some amazing people on Instagram. I don't really have time myself because of my family and obviously my daughter's disability and stuff to actually go out networking. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for my time. I'm not saying it's not good for other people, but for me, it just doesn't work. So I do a lot of my networking on Instagram. Yeah. I'll talk to people talk to me, find out if you want to have a little chat or on a phone or, Zoom call. It just works, and I've done a lot of my networking like yourself. And obviously our little property and WhatsApp groups and stuff we've got, going that you're obviously a part of, and just meeting some fantastic people. And I know you've got another guest coming on shortly. One of my very close friends, Chris, just meeting some amazing people on Instagram. I can't fault it. I really can't.
There's no excuse nowadays. I was saying before we came on camera, there's no excuse these days. You're based in Ipswich.
Yep.
Chris, Colchester. I'm up here in the northeast.
Yeah.
It took nothing, did it? I mean, I really appreciate the effort you've put in. Obviously, it come up, but in the great scheme of things, the fact you sat here today, it's been a piece of cake, hasn't it?
It has, and I think, like I said, property allows. Me and Chris were talking on the plane up here. Sorry, I mean the private jet. We were saying on the plane up here is that property does allow, and there's so many gurus out there that say this, but I know it's very cliche, but property allows us to do this, to be able to travel up on our time and realise and understand and go, is this worth us doing it? Well, we've got the time, we're that far advanced into our property career that there are people out there that are now requesting us to sort of mentor them and stuff like that. So I think getting myself out on a few more podcasts as well is okay for me, to sort of spread my personal brand and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm starting to venture in, see if it works for me or see if it doesn't. But yeah, hopefully the listeners will get a lot of knowledge from this today.
Yeah, I think you've got a good personal brand. It caught my eye on Instagram when we first started chatting. Your videos were very informative, but you came across very genuine as well. Which, because I've been doing property for so long, it's easy for me to spot the fake it till you make it guys.
Yeah,
I could just tell. Obviously, you walk around your developments that you were actually doing, which makes a big help. But you seemed genuinely trying to help other people as well, which I really liked.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's just I'm quite good at sort of reading individuals that are, like you said, fake it till you make it. I like to use another term, but we'll keep it a bit PG at the moment. But I don't like people that go and take advantage of people. It's if you're in and you're doing the business, do it. Don't try and then take advantage of people and try and pull the wool over their eyes and stuff. No. It's not on. That just means you're proper faking it, but you're also like hurting people at the same time, which is it's not on.
No.
You've got to have a conscience in this game, I think, sometimes, in terms, and I don't mean that bad, but I mean, sometimes you've got to be ruthless, like I said, with builders and the build teams and, timelines. But when it comes to like helping individuals and like, HMOs having such a bad rep, when you're dealing with neighbours and stuff like that, you do have to be, sometimes you have to tell little white lies, as we all know, when it comes to planning and stuff like that. But most of the time, like I said, you are very truthful and people have got, feelings of living next door to HMOs and stuff. So you've got to be fair. You do have to be fair sometimes, but sometimes, as landlords and developers, you get it in the neck either way.
100%, yeah.
So sometimes it can be difficult and it can be quite damaging on yourself sometimes mentally.
Yeah. How do you deal with that then? How do you stay so positive? Because you do come across both on your socials and in person now as a very positive person.
I try to be as positive as I can. I'm not saying I don't have bad days, because I do. Everyone does. But I have people around me, like I said, Chris, I'll speak to on a daily basis, or other developers, just for a chat, and be like, da-da-da-da-da, and you air it, and then they'll, because they're having a fantastic day, they'll go, think of it this way instead, and you're like, yeah, you're right. And then when they have a bad day, they call me, and I'll go, why are you thinking of it like that? Why don't you do it like this? And they go, great. Yeah. So having that network around you, and, you know, obviously when you're with WhatsApp groups and stuff like that, I think that network that you've got around you is very, very important mentally and also educational-wise as well, because there's always someone that's going to be further afield than what you are.
100%, yeah.
But there's always going to be someone that's, you know, further back than what you are. So I think it's really, really important to have those people around you. But it can be a very, very tough game mentally in this game, as you know.
It's quite a lonely game at times, isn't it? And we said before, like when you're in property, you feel like everybody's investing in property, but it is quite a niche little group, and it is a lonely sort of journey at times, without going too deep into it. But I think it's important that you just highlighted there. It's just a simple change in perspective from one of your friends or someone you're working with. The situation's exactly the same, but the perspectives change. You're like, oh, actually, yeah, it's not as bad.
And I think sometimes it's nice when you just get a random message from someone, whether it be on WhatsApp, Instagram, whatever, it's going, you right, bruv? Or, you know, you right, geez, whatever. And you sit there and you're like, oh, thanks. You know, thanks for like checking in. And, you know, I try and do it to multiple people as well that I know, developers as well. So you see some people and you think, they haven't been on socials for a while. And it's almost like a close-knit community, like you said. And you sit there and you just send them a quick message and they go, thanks for messaging me. I am going for a little bit at the moment. And you go, don't worry about it. You know, you just try and pick each other up.
Gosh, you do.
Because it's tough enough as it is.
Of course it is, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, any people listening to this and thinking about getting into property, you're gonna have your bad days. But listen, it's normal. You know, all of us guys that are further ahead than beginners and people that are further ahead of me, they have bad days. Especially, like I said, when your planning don't go out the right way, or, you know, you've suddenly got a down valuation or something like that. You've got to prepare for it. And that's what I think a lot of these educators in these courses don't prepare them for.
Don't tell you about that.
When the shit hits the fan, you need to know exactly plan A, B, C, and D, how you're going to get out of it.
Yep.
And that's the most important thing.
And that only comes from experience, or like you say, having the right people around you. Yeah,
and I think when you're making mistakes, which I make several, hundreds, do developments and stuff, it's not always gravy. So when I do my developments, I will try and sit there and understand for people that do watch my content, this has gone wrong today, but this is how I sorted it. This has gone wrong today. How do you stop that next time? Because if you're not constantly improving on yourself, plus it will show in your developments. You'll sit there and be struggling, your developments are going to struggle. So yeah, I think personal awareness of your mindset and stuff like that is very, very important to make sure you're going to make it in this industry. Because like you said, it's very lonely.
It is. And I think if you do showcase your negatives and things that have gone wrong as well, people do buy into that. They do value it. Yeah. You know, it shows you that you're not just trying to show that everything's rosy, everything's perfect like the courses do.
Which we all know on Instagram, it's shiny, shiny bells and whistles. I try and sit there and show both sides of it. Yeah, I'm coming up, we're having fun, stories today of us flying away, and people go, oh my God. You know, it's not always like that. You know, I sit there some days and you're sitting there at home and kids are screaming in the background, and, you know, you sit there and think, oh, I've got to go out to a local coffee shop just to get my mindset back again, you know. It happens, it's nature, you know, it's nature, it's natural. Going to the gym and stuff helps as well, you know. I mean, you being like a bodybuilder compared to me. You know, looking good, by the way, mate.
Thank you, mate. I've even got my shorts on today. I don't normally get my legs out, but
I was going to put my shorts
on.
The
table's here, so I'm all right.
I think it's because you know I would go always round with shorts on.
I did notice that.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I don't normally, but I thought, you know what?
I wanted to fit in. It hasn't worked out, has it?
No,
really?
It hasn't. No. Not really.
No. I'll wear trousers next time.
Yeah.
So why property then? Out of everything, you know, you obviously had this burning desire to get into it. Even when you were chauffeuring, you were chatting to people, and you already had the knowledge about property. But what was it property initially that stood out to you and you thought, I want a bit of that?
Good question, mate. Good question. I think there's multiple factors. One of them is I want to have a legacy for my children. When I'm gone, they can turn around and say, my dad did this, my granddad did this, and that's where we are now. And just to keep that going, that's what I want. That's the main focus of doing this. Another main focus, like I said, is for my children. Again, obviously I've got, as I said, a disabled daughter. It almost frightens me and scares me that when she's going to grow up in this world we live in, it's up to me to do something to make sure she's as set up as possible, you know, because when I'm not here, it frightens me that what's she going to, how's she going to sort of survive? That's the main thing for me. So second of all is money. Basically, money's obviously a token that comes with this business. It's very, very good to have money in the bank and be secure, and obviously have your kids be secure as well. But yeah, money's a big driving factor for it. But also number 3, I would say, is creating these beautiful homes that I've had visioned in my mind and making them come to life, and that people then enjoy them. So, and then it's also pushing yourself to the max every single time. So I've got this little thing that each HMO that I do, it has to be better somehow than the previous one. And I know a lot of people say they do that, but if I don't come away feeling that it's almost 100%ed on the previous one, 1, I haven't done my job correctly. 2, I haven't listened to my tenants. And 3, I've let myself down. I don't know if a lot of other developers do this, but it's just the way my brain works. I just always want to try and keep improving on myself and my developments. So that's sort of the main 3 things I sort of take away from that.
So building a legacy, creating a lifestyle for yourself.
Yes.
But also tapping into that creative side, which you've clearly got by your interior design and stuff you do in the HMOs is superb. So
thanks, mate.
Is that driven by you, the creative side, or is there other people influencing that as well?
No, so I went to college and left school when I was chefing and stuff. I was always very good at art and design. I went to graphics and design college. So I had a bit of that background anyway in terms of colours and stuff like that. And I've always liked design. I've always liked the way things are and the way they look and colours. So for me, when I do that on my properties, I've got it in my head, and my business partner will probably sit there and tell you how bad I am. But we've now just taken on, like I said, some CGI guys and interior designers now. So because I'm now looking at scaling the business, I need to start working on the business, not in it. So I will tell them very closely and work with them closely. Our build team, we will then be able to produce CGIs for them and say, right, kind of give them the design, because that's what they do, they're interior designers. But at the same time, I know what my brand is, we know what colours we use, but then I'll say, you're an interior designer, just make it look a bit better. So yeah, we're concentrating a lot at the moment on lighting design. Seems to be the big thing for me moving forward. I think we've reached a peak in where we are at the moment in terms of our rentals. So for me, trying to advance on what I've already done, I think I'm there already, but I'm always trying to just refine little bits. And the thing I haven't done is lighting design. It's very, very important. A lot of people in HMOs, they don't focus on hallways, landings and stuff. I do it. My last 2 I've done, I sit there and you sort of might push past them. And you sit there and go, it doesn't earn me no rent. I always sit there and say, if you've got a 5-star hotel, you walk into the front room and the foyers and the lobbies, what do you see first?
100%.
So I sit there and think the tenant walking in the door, what are they going to see? Not the rooms, because the rooms are superb, but I need to see lighting designs. I need to make these things a little bit more wow. That's where I see myself niching, and then I think I'll be one step ahead again. So I'm always trying to be top of the market, one step ahead. And like I said, me and Chris are always challenging each other as well. So we're always like, oh, you've done that. Oh, I'm going to do better. You've done that better. You did this. So
I must admit, when I see the footage of your HMOs and you walk around these beautiful rooms, not once have I thought, oh, what a shit landing.
Yeah. Well, but I think that's just, you self-sabotage yourself, don't you?
100%.
So you always sit there and go, what can I do better? And, you sit there and listen to the tenants. Tenants ain't saying nothing to me like that. They're just main so is they wanted to have cooking facilities in their rooms. They wanted to have more storage, which we've done. Bigger TVs, they always ask for, potentially bigger en-suites. It's another thing. We have started potentially looking at baths as well. So baths and showers. So some tenants say it'd be nice to have a bath sometimes, but you then got to factor in, like I said, water costs and stuff. You got 9 baths filling up a day.
Exactly. It's expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not so much the expense. It's just, you've got, I don't know how many litres are in a bath, but imagine 9 people filling up a bath. Like,
big
6
money.
people. Yeah, it's just, you're going to constantly use water all the time. And it's just, I just don't think it's viable. If you've got maybe an off suite, which I've never done, I know why people do it, but that's just not my brand. I don't like to do off suites and stuff. It's just not what I do.
Yeah, you could have one bath, I suppose, for common use, couldn't you? I guess. But
Yeah, I think for my brand, I've never wanted to have sharing as such. I've always wanted to have separate, almost self-contained.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my brand is at the moment, I think.
It's interesting. I speak to some property investors, and they are purely just using property as a vehicle to grow wealth and to recycle cash, etc., which is great. And I speak to others like yourself that have a clear vision as a business, not as a vehicle, as a pure business. You've mentioned brand, I think, 3 or 4 times already, and that's really good to see that you are seeing it, the whole sort of operation as a business. Yeah,
I think if you're going into it to just be a personal investor and you want to put things in if you want to set up a company or you want to set up an SPV or you want to have it in your personal name, fine. If that's what you want to do, that's your path. For me, I've always wanted to make sure I've got a brand, business, legacy. I've always got 6 or 7 steps I need to get to. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think it's important to not just be a developer or, a builder, whatever you are, an investor, is to have that whole team of having your build team, another business. You're going to have your, legal team around you, cleaning teams. Eventually, we want to get everything in-house. That's my goal, to be a whole brand inside. So you've got the estate agency business and stuff. We want to just do that within us, but no, we don't have to have any outside, obviously, input. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just economically for a business, for us, you're never relying on other people and other businesses. And I think it's just more controllable.
Yeah, 100%.
And you can control, your numbers, your assets, your profits.
Your quality.
Yeah, and also, like you said, you can drop it down in your build costs once you've got your build team there, but you need to be at a point where you've got enough coming in the pipeline.
100%, yeah.
If you haven't got HMOs and stuff like that, you need to go to flats or commercial to resis and bigger projects. Mm-hmm. That's the route I've got where I know where I'm going to be. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we're well on our way.
Yeah, sounds like it. And we'll come to the commercial to resi stuff in the future, but that mindset that you've got of constantly trying to improve yourself, and just the conversations that we had in the early days when we started chatting, that's what our conversations were focused on at the time. And I could tell you were massively driven to improve yourself, improve your business. Where does that come from? Is that something that's sort of evolved over time, or have you always been like that?
I think I've always been like that. Now I know a lot more about my daughter's autism. I think I've got signs of it myself, and ADHD as well. I just can't sit still. I mean, you can see I'm fidgeting a little bit here now, but I find it very hard to relax and just be still. Mm-hmm. So I'm always trying to sort of move, or I'm tapping my leg, and they say some of the, wealthiest entrepreneurs and stuff like that in the world are high forming ADHD and they've got autism. So I don't see it as a negative. No. I've just always had that mindset of becoming something, not just for myself, but just my mindset of just trying to constantly improve or be the best I possibly can. Mm-hmm. But I mean, my dad's always pushed me along. So has my mum's been very supportive. Mm-hmm. So I think, they're quite a lot of factors as well.
What was your parents' reaction when you first got into property? I always find this an interesting one, because my mum was like, you can't borrow money. You should never owe anybody. That debt's a bad thing, blah, blah, blah. Don't buy any houses. Only ever own one house.
So I'm a great believer of obviously the universe, the way things work, and, vibration levels and stuff like that. I kept everything from my mum, dad, brothers. It was just literally me and my wife and my mother-in-law. And we first bought our first buy-to-let in Ipswich, and we got it all done, got it refinanced, and I was like, look, it works. And they're like, brilliant. And then I went and done my first HMO, bought that at auction, and the very next day I had Homes Under the Hammer call me. Yeah. And they were like, do you want to come on? I was like, yeah. I'm now on TV. I'm not driving the celebs round. So I was like, yeah, I've made it. And I was like, I couldn't wait to tell my mum. And my wife just said, just don't for the minute, And it's like, let's just take it all in. So I was like, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And I was like, I know what I'll do. I'll do it, and then I'll showcase it on Homes Under the Hammer. And that's exactly what I did. And it was the hardest thing to do, because I get on like really close with my mum.
So you didn't tell anyone before?
Nothing.
Oh, that's amazing.
Nothing at all. And it was hard because, mum's like, where have you been? What have you been doing? I'm like, I'm helping my mate's dad construct a caravan or something it was, do a caravan up. And some people might sit there and go, oh, that's cruel. It's not. It's just the way I wanted to do it. So I wanted to make sure I was successful to start off with. I'd done it and I could prove to people and sort of almost have a track record. And then when it come on the TV show, I went round her house and sat down, and obviously my stepdad was there as well. And I said, come on, let's put it on Homes Under the Hammer. She went, oh, okay then. Sat there and she just started watching it, and she saw my face come on. She didn't quite believe it. She went, so that's what you've been doing. You've been doing the builder's house. And I went, no, Mum, it's mine. She went, yeah, but you're with the builder. I was like, yeah, he's my builder.
That's Dion Dublin.
Yeah. And it's like we had Tommy Walsh, and it was a great day, great experience. And I took it away, and it was great to see myself on TV. And my mum still didn't get it by the end of the show. It was my property. And then I had to explain to her and say, brilliant. This is my property and I've done this one before. And she was like, well done. But she couldn't. Who are you? Yeah, she couldn't quite work out. She's like, my God, have you done this? Like, are you for real? So I think that was quite a proud moment for me.
Yeah.
You know, seeing
and for
that.
Her.
Yeah. Because I've always I've not had like the best jobs like growing up and stuff like that, but I've always grafted, always. Mm-hmm. I'll never sit there and be like a bum. I just couldn't do it. No. Well, my autism and ADHD, you know. I just think I've always just been a doer. Mm-hmm. And then, I think this was always meant to be, I think, for me. Yeah. So, been through it. So, that's how I started.
Tell us about that first deal then. How did you find that deal?
Believe it or not, I was travelling up and down on a train to Hull. I went to Newcastle. Where else to go? Liverpool was my main sort of area I was going to look at doing. And I went up there constantly, 4 hours there, 4 hours back on the train. I'd done it for like 2 weeks, every day. It's costing a fortune. £200 a day it was. And I was like, I've got to find a deal. I almost put a first deal in on near Anfield. It was literally one road away from Anfield Stadium. 90 grand, this like 4-bed Victorian, 150 square metres. I was like, this is it. And some guy on the way back on the train beat me by like 2 grand. I was like, no, I'm sticking to my numbers. And I'm so glad I did, because I got home and my mother-in-law spoke to me and my wife spoke to me and they said, look, you've been going up and down now for like 3 months. And they said, you're spending a lot of money. Have you found anything yet? I was like, no. They was like, look, let's be serious here. And I sat there and I was like, the amount of money I'm spending, it sort of made me think, how am I going to manage these builds? Yeah. If I've got to do this daily, I'm sort of want to get involved and learn, I'm not going to be able to do it. So I started doing my due diligence, obviously, around my area. I was like, yes, it's a lot more expensive. £250,000, 300 grand, whatever. I'm like, okay, but it's double the money or 3 times the money, but I can get to it.
Costs, yeah.
So it's like, I'm not spending on that. And I worked it all out. And then I've obviously done my due diligence on the areas. And then I found Ipswich. Mm-hmm. And Ipswich is closed, by the way, people. If you want to know. But yeah, obviously Ipswich, I found that. It had a great location, obviously to the marina, a lot of money being spent there. I had a lot of Amazons obviously there. I'm not going to tell too much. But it had a lot of stuff. It had a university and a hospital, which for me, it was like tick, 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 tick. Checked out due diligence on what the HMO sort of demand was, and that was it. So I was like, I went up there, checked on buy-to-lets as well, and I found this property, and it was a probate property, and it was up for 220 grand. 210 it was up for. And I went in there, went back, and I was like, I think I offered them about 160. And they were like, no. I was like, it's been on the market for a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And in the end, they said, look, we'll do it for 190. I was like, 180, and we got a deal. And they did. They come back, and I was like, I've just done my first deal. I was like, what's next? I didn't have a clue, really. You know, because it's like you take into conveyancing in that, and I knew as much as I could. You think you know a lot, but you don't.
No.
And then you're going with a broker, what they're saying. So a lot of like newbies that come into this, I've been there, done it. You go in, you listen to what a broker says, and you think they're good. They haven't got a clue, most of them, until you get a good broker. And then you realise that broker was rubbish and this one's brilliant. And then when they advise you to do stuff, you just go with the flow.
Yeah, you put a lot of trust in them, don't you? Yeah.
You know, and I did a bridging finance. My first ever deal was bridge finance. I was like, yeah, great, let's do it. Not realising like how risky they were. And I managed getting through it. And obviously the builder come in, I spent 50 grand on it. It ended up getting valued nearly 300 grand.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, nice. You know, so I'd done that. Obviously left a bit of money in there, took the money out, found the HMO. I think it was 3-4 weeks later. And I was like, I've just bought my next one. They're like, whoa, what are you doing? I was like, I'm cracking on. And then, like I said, I've had issues since then with HMOs, you know, learning about planning, PD rights, you know, planning getting rejected, appeals, you name it. You know, I've been there, done, and I'm so glad I've been through it because it's made me so much more aware. Yeah. Policies, this, that, and the other. Now I look at an HMO and I look at it completely different. Yep. How can I get out of it before I've even bought it, you know?
So how many bedrooms was that first HMO then?
That was a 4-bed that I turned into a 6.
Right.
And I built that with my bare hands, myself, with my mate and a builder that was basically sitting there advising because I wanted to get my hands dirty. And I was always quite good DIY wise. And yeah, believe it or not, I built a loft conversion on YouTube.
Did you really?
Yep. That's a God's
With
honest
no
truth.
previous experience?
Nothing at all. Went from the plan. A lot of it, I'd say, is common sense. So we obviously took the plans, structural engineers' plans, drew it all out, and it's measurements and stuff. It is common sense. And I like.
Are you quite handy anyway?
I'd say I'm handy to a point. So DIY and stuff, yeah, I'm handy to it. I'm not a professional builder and stuff, but I do know a lot of knowledge. And because I've built one myself, I didn't do all the plastering and electrics. Let them boys do that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like timber work and, I was doing it all. So I learned a hell of a lot. Plasterboarding, what type of plasterboards you can use. What does this do? What's RWA 45? Like, why I've got the fire separation. And then you start to learn about policies, planning policies and PD. And if you don't get to know it, you're going to crumble fast.
100%. Yeah.
So it's really, really important.
So did you get your hands dirty from a money saving perspective, or did you just want to learn?
It was mainly money.
Yeah.
Because I knew if I've spent 55 grand, I was very naive going into my first HMO. I put 55 grand into the build that I'd done for the buy to let, and I was like, well, if I've done that for 50, if I just sort of double it, should be enough. Because you're thinking, I've done a whole 3-bedroom house here. Yeah. It's only had another 3.
As well, 6-bed ensuite.
No, this was just a normal buy to let house, full back to brick renovation. And then we had turned, 1 bedroom into ensuite and another into a bathroom. But I sat there and I was like, well, it's just double, 6 rooms. How wrong I was. I'd done development finance on that and, 30 grand here, 30 grand there. And then you've got the QS fees that come out. Yeah. Grand here, 500 quid, 600. You don't realise, but my broker told me, no, that's all included. So when they suddenly send you a bill through for 700 quid, you're like, what? Yeah. And then, but that helped me learn as well about development finance. Yeah. So when that all obviously started to happen, I saw my money running out fast. And I was like, I'm almost at the end, but I'm not. You think you're at the end. When you see the plaster go on the walls? Yeah. You sit there and go, I'm only a week away.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you're like, no, I've got like 4 or 5 weeks to go yet. But you don't realise it at the time. So paint goes on the wall and you're like, yeah, I'm going to finish. And then that's when it takes time. Yeah. The finishing and stuff like that. So yeah, that taught me a lot. But I'm glad I went through that. And I ended up being, I think it was 120 or 130 grand in the end. So I had to literally borrow money left, right and centre.
Mm-hmm. Privately?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Off friends, family and stuff, but they got paid back.
So how and why did you do the transition from buy-to-let properties to HMOs so quickly? Because most of the people I know have 15, 20 buy-to-lets before they even think about HMOs. Was it something you'd seen on telly or in the books? Or
I will blame Alistair Farquhar for that. So he was coming up on my feed all the time, and James was doing it as well. And they were all talking about HMOs. He does students. Yeah. And then Alistair was doing stuff, what he was doing, and he was starting to talk about commercial valuations. And I'm like, what's that? And it's so hot now what commercial values are. But it's getting them right is the main thing. Yeah. That's the hardest thing.
Quite dangerous if you get them
Very
wrong.
dangerous, yeah. And you find a lot of people, they buy these properties and they don't know what their exits are before they've even bought them. No. And then they suddenly get a down val and they think it's going to be worth 600 grand and it's like 420. Yeah. And they're like, well, I've just spent 200 grand. How do I get it out? And you're like, you didn't do the right person. You didn't know about the lenders. Yeah. So many more things you can do to it. But yeah, it's can be a very dangerous game. But that's how it sort of worked for me. I was like, I'm leaving this much money in here. I'm only getting £500 a month profit. Yeah. If I do an HMO, I could put the same amount of money in, more on the build cost, and that's why I learned about development finance. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I could be taking 1,500 quid a month. Yeah. And I can get all my money out. Mm-hmm. I was like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I feet like that, mate. I was straight in.
So you've continued down the HMO route since then? Yeah. So tell us about the next couple of deals. As you're getting more experience, you started putting en suites in every room.
Yeah, so basically my first 6-bed that I done with the loft conversion, so I went full on, loft conversion in, like PD, I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, just do it, it's fine. And then I put the loft conversion in, finished that, fantastic. I had problems with that, down valuations and everything, but done all en suites, fantastic interiors, beautiful like 30 square metre kitchen. Nothing in Ipswich has seen it. And everyone's like, you're not going to do that. It's all black wood. And I was like, just watch. And everyone sort of doubted me. And when they realised I was getting sort of 850 for a top room round there and the rents were like 550, 600, they're like, what does he know that I don't? Yeah,
creating your own market.
You've got to believe in what your product is.
But where did that belief come from? Because there's so many, 99% of people I think would have been like, oh God, how did you assess the demand in the area for HMO tenants But then also, how did you assess the demand for high-end rooms?
So if you look on, I obviously look on Spare Room. Yeah. You always look at your competitors, what's going on.
But it sounds like nobody was doing what you were planning to do.
No, they weren't. I mean, there was people in there that were, they were doing en suites and, they were being off suite and this, that and the other. But nobody had done like a 6-bed all en suite. And they didn't do it to the sizes that I were doing and obviously to luxury. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of, you got your granddad's wardrobe sitting there and, there were a few on the market that were still very good. But I just thought I could just be different. And one thing I knew stood out from the rest. My property, there's a row of 6. It's one of the largest properties at that row of 6 compared to all the others on the street. Mm. So I was like, I know my rooms are a lot larger. So that's one straight away. And that's where I sort of formed my brand of being luxury, very large, because I know in a downturn, you're always going to get tenants have a large, same if you go to a hotel room, you always want to go to the suite, don't you? You don't want to go for the pokey room because you don't mind paying more. So I was like, well, if my rooms are bigger and I've got the top facilities in here, I put Neff appliances in there and everything. Stupid idea. But even to this day, when I go to sell people and I meet them at the property and I go, look, there's Neff appliances, and they go, oh. So there is some some selling points. But I then sat there and realised and thought, if I've got large rooms and they're all en suites, how can I then improve it next? Mm-hmm. And obviously I saw, Justin does studio rooms, and I think it's more so up north, it's a standard.
It is, yeah.
So they, you've probably got some. Do you do some yourself as well with studios and stuff for kitchens?
No, I've done quite a lot of commercial or resi apartments.
Okay.
But with studios within that apartment block.
Yeah.
But the HMO I've done it. That's just an ensuite room. Actually, there's one self-contained studio in the loft space.
Got ya. I think when I realised I sort of done my, people call them loft conversion rooms, I call it the penthouse.
Yeah.
Marketing at the end of the day, 100%. Marketing 101.
Yeah.
So when I put it on Spare Room and realised nobody's ever done like a penthouse suite, I put it up there, penthouse suite, 25 square metres. Yeah. Bang, first room that's gone. $850.
Brilliant.
And I was like, if that's $850, I can put these ones at surely $750. Mm-hmm. And people just flooded in there like, have it. And I was like, well, that was easy.
Yeah.
And then like I said, my smallest room in that one was like 10.4 square metres without ensuite. And to me, it just felt like a sardine can.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just don't ever want rooms like smaller than that. Mm-hmm. And then obviously I bought my next property after that of refinancing after having countless issues with that. Refinanced out of that one, then found my absolute monster that I've got now, which obviously was always designed to be a 9-bed for doctors. Because I started to get doctors come in the area for me and stay in my previous one because they wanted luxury. Mm-hmm. So when they started to sort of talk to me, they then got in touch with their senior advisors at the NHS, to which I'm now got contacts with them, and they basically say to me, I have 200 doctors coming every August.
Brilliant.
So, my tenants are mainly doctors who are fantastic, and I just don't have a problem with them. So for me, have I been lucky? Yes. But at the same time, I've put the work in for it.
Make your own luck, don't you?
Yeah. So, they are every single doctor. I've even got doctors that have left me that they keep calling me up and saying to me, have you got one for my friend? And it's like, I think I said to Chris the other day, I always try and phone Chris up as well and say, you got any levers? Mm-hmm. Because we'll always try and
help each other.
Yeah, because, what's the point in not filling each other's rooms?
Yeah.
Sorry, suites. Marketing. What's the point in not selling each other suites if if others are going to go somewhere else? Exactly, so why not keep it within your inner circle? Mm-hmm. And I know that obviously myself and Chris, we're very, very high end in terms of the rental demand that we have for our properties. Mm-hmm. But I just wish in the area people would bring their prices up as well, because obviously it pushes all the valuations up of the properties as well, which a lot of people don't understand. Mm.
And you'd think they'd see you and the success you're having and Chris is having and sort of cotton on to that, wouldn't you? But
that's what we try and hope for. Mm-hmm. And obviously our valuations come back normally and they represent that. Yeah. We don't share a lot about what our valuations are with our properties and stuff, but yeah, we get nice surprises sometimes, but why shouldn't we? Because the product we produce
exactly
and the rentals we get, I mean, valuers have to take obviously an average. They can't sit there sometimes and say, oh, you're getting £1,500 for a room. And they go, yeah, let's put that through. Mm-hmm. It'd never go through, So they have to be, realistic as well, you know.
Do you find yourself, obviously you're pushing the quality and you're pushing the room sizes, do you still find yourself having to sort of balance, you know, it's not, you know, there is a ceiling to the valuation. I know you are, especially on your latest one, you've pushed the ceilings a little bit, which is amazing. But because you're wanting to get better and better with each HMO you do, you must have to be careful not to overspend.
100%. So this is why we know what we've got so far with our, you know, kitchenettes or tea stations, they call them inside the rooms, big en suites, you know, beds, built-in wardrobes, everything you could possibly imagine that a tenant's going to want. That's why I sit there, as I said to you, like, you know, previous, how can you try and improve it without spending too much money? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I've read so much into the design of lighting design. You know, don't nick it, anyone.
That's your new obsession, isn't it?
Yeah, so lighting design is, it can feel, it can make people feel different ways.
100%. Yeah.
So if you walk into somewhere, it's not massive to do that. Mm-hmm. There's a few different designs we're going to do on the next, you know, projects, which you'll see. You know, I'm not going to say too much about it. law of attraction and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep an eye on my Instagram. You'll see what we've got coming, cooking up. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty special. But lighting design's a big thing for me at the moment.
I suppose lighting design as well is something that doesn't have to break the bank. It's just the way you're using the light rather than spending thousands on the lighting.
Yep. So people will sit there and they go, oh, you get different types of landlords. They'll sit different types that will sit there and say, oh, I can't afford that because they keep an eye on their electricity bills. I don't care about my electricity bills and stuff. I want my tenants to be happy.
Yeah.
If they're paying me £1,200 a month for a room, they can have as much light on as they want. They can have fans on and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I don't care because we've got enough rental income to cover bills which might be £400 or £500 a month.
Brilliant.
And then your gas might be, you know, we might be paying £1,000 a month on bills. Mm-hmm. It's fine. Yeah. You know, you just have to factor that in the cost. But if they're paying top rent, they're getting top service, don't be stingy on stuff like, oh, it's got to go back in the back pocket. Yeah, 100%. I know it's a business at the end of the day and you do have to keep an eye on things. Yeah. If someone's in there running Bitcoin farms and stuff like that, SW Homes, if they're running, like I said, Bitcoin mining operate, that's different. You know, you're going to see, you know.
Gosh,
yeah. So I think when you look at lights, people just sit there and think of the cost all the time of running them. Mm-hmm. Most of them are LEDs.
Yeah.
So like most little lighting design ideas are going to be stripped LEDs, like little tiny spotlight LEDs. There's just different ideas that you can do where people don't focus on. They'll have a feature wall and they'll have a strip LED around the back of the bed and it's just a bit, it's been done. Yeah. Same with all the sound paneling. Yeah. I've got it in, you know, the HMO. It's like, it's done. Yeah. You need to come up with something different. Yeah. So, yeah.
At what point, I'm just listening to you now and I can see that eventually you're going to come to the point where you've done as much as you can with HMOs. Yeah. You know, that the fact that you're looking into such details as lighting design just shows how detailed you are. But at what point do you think, right, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try maybe it's commercial or resi and do a block of apartments. You've already mentioned it once. Is that something that's...
I'm always looking for land, commercial to resi, commercial projects, and obviously blocks of flats and stuff. Mm-hmm. So you'll see on my Instagram a few weeks ago, I'd done some content where I was going over to a new area and I was trying to look at it for HMOs and trying to scope the area out. Now, I've understood HMOs don't work for me over there, but I wanted to get a feel of the area. Mm-hmm. I went over there, got a feel of the area for the day, you know, because it's very important to go to an area and go, what does it feel like around here? And you start to know where the bad areas are and the good areas
especially
are.
Especially at night.
Yeah. So for me, I realised I've got a new area to park my money. So once I'm at the size I need to be with my HMO portfolio, I can then start parking my money from that, putting it into that, or getting larger projects and starting to work and split the build teams. Yeah. So there is plans to obviously do that and to obviously diversify the portfolio. Mm-hmm.
How many HMOs are you aware from coming to that point?
I'd say another 8.
Right.
Yeah, and then I'm looking. What I don't want to do is oversaturate the area. Mm-hmm. It's the HMOs are coming thick and fast. The amount of people that are just coming in every area. Mm-hmm. Colchester, Ipswich, Southend.
A lot of mediocre ones, though, in the northeast anyway.
I can't say anything more, but, you know. Yeah, there's different levels. Mm-hmm. Listen, there's always something in the market. You've got low end, mid end, high end. Yeah. You know, I don't want to be in that I know what I'm good at, and that's high-end HMOs.
Because in the North East, people talk about HMOs, Darlington, for instance, being saturated with HMOs. Well, it is. It's saturated with poor HMOs, in my opinion. But the ones that are real high-end are full.
Yeah.
You know, so
You're always gonna attract people. Same with like a 5-star hotel compared to a 2-star. You're going to get people coming in 2 stars. You know, they've got a budget. That's the reason why they're staying. Don't really care about what's there. People want to stay in a 5-star hotel, like, you know, in London and stuff, where they're paying £2,000 for a suite for a night. Yeah. We all know it's not worth £2,000, you know, for a night, but it's the feeling and the sensation it gives them, and that's what you've sometimes got to understand the way people's emotions work sometimes. So it's very, very strange. Like I said, when you get people and they come to a viewing, if you crack their emotion and they come in and they fall in love with it, you know, in the lettings business, you sell it right and you just let them walk. I never walk in the room first either on a viewing. Yeah. I open the door and I go on in. And they go, you know, and it's like, no one's in the way, because that's what I want them to feel like. They're walking into their home. Yeah. And then you can obviously start talking to them about, you know, what their needs are, and they're like, everything's here. So, yeah, if you know your tenant and you know your specific type of tenant, work to it. Because if you don't know your niche, or like I said, I've got a niche for medical and obviously airport staff as well. So that's another sort of market we're looking into, because I used to work in the airport. Yeah. So I've got a lot of contacts there as well. So yeah, it's one of them. If you don't know an area you don't know, you just want to do professional. What is a professional? Yeah. It's very vague, isn't it?
Yeah, very vague, yeah.
If you want to be an office, specifically for offices, you know, what does that specific office tenant want? What market do they live in? Are they insurance? Are they, you know, the management of a university? Are they nurses? Are they doctors? Because they all want different things. So that's kind of what you got to get to know it.
Yeah, 100%. Speak to them. It's your market research.
I suppose a lot of that comes from me as well, from my chauffeuring business. So I need to know specific type of clients and what their needs and wants are for each one. Some of them wanted Evian water, some of them didn't like it. Some of them wanted mints in the car, some of them didn't. So it's really knowing your tenant and then understanding, and talk to your tenants. Say, what can I improve on? Because I think a lot of people, they get the tenancy and that's it, we're done. Yeah. Next one. Yeah. But if you don't have them like stay around in your HMOs, you're going to get void periods and stuff. Yeah. That's when it becomes
same
bad.
even to the level of buy-to-let, you know, that your tenants are your customers, you've got to look after them. I see so many landlords that refuse to do basic maintenance in houses, and you're just like, what are you doing? Like, and then they're shocked when the tenant leaves. It's just like,
it's part of the cost though, isn't it? It's, you know, if you've got a tenant sitting there and they're, you know, they've got a water leak or something like that, and they ring you up and they go, got a water leak. Yeah, I'll get you in a couple of days. Yeah. Why are you getting there in a couple of days? No. Like, get the landlord there. Like, if you're the landlord and you're self-managing, get it there, because that's your investment. All you're doing is you're damaging your profits. That's what you're doing. Yeah. So that's the way I look at it, yeah.
So how's your sort of, when you were assessing deals in the early days, you're looking at your metrics, you're looking at your ROI. How's that sort of developed as you've gone along the journey? What is the main metric you look at nowadays? Is it the amount of money you're going to leave in the deal? Is it ROI?
ROCE, return on capital employed. Yep. That's my main function. How much money am I putting in? How much am I getting out? You know, how much do I physically have to put in? Because I think that's so important, to return on capital employed, rather than the return on investment. Because at the end of the day, it's all right looking at your investment you've actually got in there and you've got 25% left in there. You can look at that all you like. You ain't touching it until you sell it. If you sell it, 20%'s gone. Yeah,
it's dead money. Yeah.
But you got 5%. So don't look at it as 25%, look at it as 5. So when people sit there and go about LTVs, what's your LTV? We're 70%. Banks know that. That's why they give you 75%. If you sell it and you're a company, 19, 20% corporation tax. People don't look at it like that. No, they don't. I do, and I sit there and go, I don't care about that. It's dead money. Yeah. Until in 10 years' time, it's caught up. Yeah, it's lazy. It might be worth that. Yeah. But my main money is, like I said, return on capital employed. If I've put 100 grand in, I'm getting 120 back, 20% return for me. Yeah. ROCE. So that's really important for me. That's how in the early days, I never worried about that. And to be honest, in the early days, it was sort of done on a bit of paper for me. And I was like, what's that? How much does that cost? Yeah. And you end up sort of adapting as you go. So you learn more things as well. Yeah. What your room rates you're getting, what's the potential you could be getting in your room rates? How much are you down by? Like, what percentage could you be doing? So, yeah, and then you sort of have a track in my Excel spreadsheets. I've got, what could it be happening in 2 years? What could it be, doing in 5 years? We're going to have any maintenance? It's going to cost more money. What could it be worth? Yeah. I do go into quite a lot of metrics to see where it's going to be in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, Because people only look at a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
I look in 25 years. That's where it's going to be, worth its money.
Yeah, but that's because you're treating it like a business. We go back to that. You're doing cash flow forecasts for your business.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how it should be treated. How I treat my portfolio. But you see so many people just set and forget, buy a house,
forget it,
forget about it. Yeah,
yeah, it's done.
Yeah,
see you later, move on to the next. That mindset is not so bad because you can just crack on and just do things. But I think if you're self-managing stuff and you have a management team you're looking to expand, and when they start managing the properties, you need to train them. So if they're not doing your processes that you've got now and how you want to know specifically exactly what your numbers are or what the potentials could be, when you have your meetings with your team, you say, right, what's the potential for next year? Well, they don't know because you haven't taught them that way. If you know that next year and in year 2 we should be at that. Now, hang on a minute, Nick, we're going to be now this much. Brilliant. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't know that. And then you can start expanding and going, right, how much money we got next year to be able to, return on capital to be putting into property, to sit there and go, how much return we're going to get on that? And then you start looking at bigger deals, £1 million plus, bigger projects. That's the way I see my scaling going. Yeah. So yeah, 5 years for me, it's looking good.
Yeah, good. Something else that must have changed as you've gone along the journey is obviously your involvement on site. I'm guessing you're not doing loft conversions yourself these days.
No. So the 2 projects, I said 2 HMOs I've done, they've been full on big projects and both had loft conversions, extensions. So I've just been like full on from day one, and I've been very hands on. First one, second one, I've obviously had my business partner as well, who's a builder. He's been very hands on. He's been a builder for 20 years, so he knows a lot more than what I do. So if there's stuff that I didn't quite know with these, like my big monster that I got, he would just, it's so much easier. And I sat there and I was like, this is such a good partnership because I can now focus on getting the deals, the finance, the design and stuff. He can concentrate on doing and building the build teams.
Perfect.
And, so that's why we just literally had a meeting last night, and the scope that we're looking to do now to obviously scale, we're both now coming away going, we need to work on the business. So he's now pulling away.
Right,
I'm pulling away from the building. He's pulling away from the actual build himself, which he loves building, but he's now going to start managing the teams to then go, we need to get this going. We've got 10 more to obviously get in an area which we'll probably have nearly about 70-ish rooms in the area, which would be great. And then we can look at doing other things, but then we can start employing as such our build teams, management teams, cleaners teams, and just have it evolve. So yeah, it's looking promising, very, very promising.
So you're completely hands off when it comes to the build, and everything's just left to your business partner.
Will be now, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the next step for me, is that I need to keep the pipeline full because we don't want any downtime between properties, and that's tough. It's very tough to do. Getting the refinance set up, getting the tenants in there, get the refi set up, get the money out, get it refinanced, put it into another deal, and just constantly just recycling cash. That's the hard part as a developer.
Do you run multiple deals at multiple projects at a time, or are you all in on one and then you move to the next one?
I have done in the past one to another. Next few months, keep an eye on the socials, so I can say.
There's 8 coming on.
80. Yeah, just keep an eye on the socials. Yeah, we got more stuff happening coming up.
So what's the most common mistake that you see other investors make when buying HMOs and assessing HMOs, and also designing and building out the HMOs? Because in our sort of circles on Instagram, you must see a lot of HMO developments. Is there anything that stands out and you think, oh God, I wish they wouldn't do that?
I think they try and look at some big guys in the industry. As we all know, we're in a group ourselves, David, and there's some big guys that we talk to, and they make it look so easy, and I think these new guys, they copy, which is nothing wrong with that because they're aspiring to be like them individuals. And I think it can go downhill very quick, especially on build cost. Yeah. They don't realise actually how much money it costs to do things, especially when it comes to outside third-party builders who you don't know, you haven't got a relationship with. So they're going to be sitting there and you think like 100 guys like me or other people that they're putting up build costs to say 150. And they're going, no, it's 150 grand. And you're like, yeah, but we did the build ourselves and we got teams. And
exactly. And we get discounted rates because he's worked with us for 20 years. Yeah.
And then they come in and they go, what's the price? It's 225. And you're like, but he said it. Yeah, but, this is where you come unstuck. And they're already in the deal. They haven't worked it out. So I do find that a lot of newbies, they get starstruck, is the best word to use, of seeing the real property gurus in this game and what they're doing. They just get drawn in by like flashy watches, cars, and seeing it all being done. But you got to remember, these guys have got years of experience behind them, and they're just constantly bashing them out. Yeah. So there are some real good guys out there, and there are some not so nice guys, that are just in it to take your money to sell your course.
100%.
So yeah,
plenty of them. That's
what I'd say. Just be very careful. Do your due diligence on your deals. And the main thing is just get your numbers right. If you don't know what your exit is and don't sit there and go, I'm going to get a commercial vow and it's going to be 700 grand on a 4-bed because you saw someone say it because they're driving around in a Lambo. It's like, find out from valuers, phone the valuers up and say, look, just don't phone Connells. Phone the valuers up in your local area and just sit there and say, look, what do you reckon I'll get for this if it was this? And you'll soon get to pick, like, who's good and who's not, and you'll get different ideas.
100%, yeah.
Just something to do. You've got to know your numbers, but commercial valuations can be a roller coaster. I've been through it, both ends, high ends, low ends. It's horrible because literally your deal can go from this where you always think of the top end, and you sit there and go, yeah, I'm going to get this, and you end up getting this, and you're like, I'm 200 grand down. Where am I going to find that from? Yeah, and most people give up. This is where your mindset comes in. Yeah. I got knocked back 3 times, 3 different lenders on my first one. Got it in the end, but 3 times it took me to get where I needed because I knew how much the house would be worth. Yeah. But every single time it was down valued by 200 grand. So I've been through it. I know exactly what that feeling feels like. And Chris was there every step of the way, and even he felt it. And I'm sure he'll tell you on his podcast that he's going to film soon that he's been through it, and I was there for him, getting certain things. So it's really, really important to have them people around you that do know what they're doing or they're further advanced than you. Yeah. And if you might be experienced in something that they haven't experienced before. So, Chris will tell you about his and he'll probably tell you the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in property 22 years and I'm still learning every week. There's still something that comes up and I'm like, but like back to what you said, these guys online that make it look so easy with this HMO deals, they're doing massive HMOs. They've failed in the past. They've learned the hard way and they've got the lessons and learnings from that. And then but also as they go through the journey, the cash pot's getting bigger and bigger. They might be happy leaving a couple of $100 grand in a deal because it's cash flowing so well, etc. So it's very dangerous to, like you said, to try and mirror what they're doing.
I think if you've got an investor, they've got 10, 15 properties, and they're each cashing in 1,500 quid a month. You work out the maths, it's like they're pulling in 15, 20 grand a month, like nets, net profit. So for them sitting there leaving 50, 60 grand in a deal, it's not a lot to them. No. But they know how to get out of that situation. They might be leaving it out for a reason. Yeah. They might have built it as a 6, getting planning for a 7 and get it refinanced out and they release their equity.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's all different. When you get to this game, like there's a lot of moving parts in HMO, which a lot of people, they will never tell you about it. Even educators won't tell you about it because they want to keep stuff to themselves.
Of course they do, yeah.
Just that's the way the industry we're in.
So financing deals, as you've progressed through your journey, did you start working with angel investors early doors? Is that something that you've just brought in?
No, I've always been self-funded. Yeah. So, and then I met with obviously my business partner and we went in together and this is where we are now. We're refinancing obviously out of a property there. And yeah, there's a lot to come up and we've got a lot of people interested to try and give us money. I mean, I've started to put on there, we might start working with a few local investors and we've had some discussions and meetings and that, which is going to help our pipeline. Yeah. So yeah, it's looking promising.
And how's the current environment affected your strategy as you've gone along with obviously higher interest rates now, higher costs, arrangement fees, etc., material prices going through the roof? How's that affected your strategy as you move forward?
So yeah, the strategy hasn't really changed a lot. It's just a matter of trying to keep an eye on the economy, the way things are working. So cheap money, cheap property. You've got to keep your eye on, obviously, your Bank of England base rates, cheap money, expensive money. When I do builds, I normally save a lot of money on the builds in terms of labour because we can do it in-house. So a lot of people, when you're getting tough on build costs, the builders are obviously going to be factoring in that, and they're going to be putting bits on top to allow for that. So you're always going to get sort of stung really with a build team unless you can try and bring your own build team in. Yeah. Or the longer you've worked with that build team, they're going to start giving you slight discounts. Mm-hmm. You know, there's ways and means you can obviously reduce on money if you want to start your own building firm and do your VAT and different ways. But I don't think it changes too much. If you know your demand, you know your property, you know your numbers, all you're doing is you're just entering the market at a slightly more expensive time, and it just means it's going to take longer for capital appreciation to then come up. But you might find in a year and a half's time, property might crash, for instance, which I don't think it's going to. You might get a 30% correction. If that's great, I'll still be buying. It just means that this property that's up here, you haven't got as much money on now, you've now just bought down here cheaper. Yeah. So when that starts to come up, that's actually taken half the fund anyway of that one. So you're always going to be winning. Yeah. And like they say, they say, don't try and time the market, buy in the market. That's not right.
Have time in the market, yeah.
No, I'm going to get this right. I look like a right penis now.
I want this as the main reel.
It's going to be, hang on.
Yeah. It's not timing the market, it's time in the market.
Yeah, but there's also another one. I said it last night as well. Don't try and
time the market.
Oh, no, don't. Right, okay. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't try and wait and buy. Buy and wait. Mm-hmm. Best thing to do in the market.
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
Got there in the end.
Yeah. Bad property's like a bad haircut, isn't it?
Well, I don't really have
Time is the healer. No, you don't. No. Everyone else does. So what is the end game for Nick? When I sit down with you in 3 years' time, what are you going to be telling me that you're going to be doing?
We're going to be sitting probably near the Burj Khalifa or on the Sunseeker yacht.
Yeah.
I'll take you out of the harbour. We'll go and have some champagne or something in the sea, in the Arabian, and probably take you back to my villa and then fly you home in the private jet, mate.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's quite good. And then I'll meet you in Marbella.
Yes, sounds good.
And Phil Brett will be in Marbella as well.
Yeah.
We're going Gate Crash's. Actually, we're going Gate Crash's villa.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But no, yeah, that's the plan, mate, for me.
Do you want to live in Dubai?
Yeah,
also,
100%.
You've posted about it quite a lot.
Have I?
Especially recently.
Have
Yeah.
I?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I want to go potentially end of 2026.
Right, okay.
That's the plan. That's what I'm working towards. If that gets pushed back for whatever reason, so be it. But that's the plan.
Yeah.
I want to take my kids into an environment that's safe. There are tax benefits out there, not going to lie. I
haven't heard about them. But yeah.
No? Maybe I'll have a chat with you sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, some tax benefits out there, but also it's just a safer environment for my kids. And when I said to you about my daughter with a disability and stuff, I want to try and bring her up in the best environment possible to give her the best chance at basically, surviving life.
Yeah.
And not being threatened in the country we live in now.
Yeah. I think Dubai used to be the tax haven, and that's why everyone looked at it. Now everyone's waking up and realising that, like you just said, it's probably the safest place on earth.
Yes.
The skills are fantastic now.
Yeah.
The weather is a bit challenging at times, but,
yeah,
most of the time it's okay. I've got friends that live there. And it's just such an aspirational place. Every time I go, I come home back to the UK and I'm just full of fire. I just want to crack on.
Yeah.
Same with Marbella to an extent, but not as much as Dubai. And I think it's just a great place.
I think, yeah, for mindset and reset and just realising you think you're doing well and then you realise who owns the oil well out there, and that's how well you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
You're nothing compared to what these sheikhs and the people that are doing business out there. Yeah. But like you said, it's not a jealousy trait. It's like an aspiration, and that's what people should do in this industry. Looking up to people that are further, ahead of you. Just look up and see what they're doing. Ask them questions. What do you do? How can you help? If they want to help you, they will. If they don't, I understand why they don't want to help you.
Yeah.
They've been through, they've slogged it out. So if they want to stay quiet, respect that as well, because not everyone has to give out stuff for free.
No.
And not everyone has to sell their knowledge as well.
No.
Some people choose to and some people don't.
I do find with the property community in general, people are very willing to help you. I think there's not many people that keep the cards close to the chest, and I'm very much the same. I'm more than happy to sit down and give people free advice just because I love talking about property. Bit of a sad bastard, but but I think in general, people in property are sort of happy and open to help others.
I think there is to a point until you realise someone's taking the piss in your DMs.
Yes.
You know, and they'll sit there and you don't mind saying the odd stuff here and there, but like as you and all of us, our time's valuable.
Yeah.
You know, and we can't be sitting there some people will ask you, little questions and stuff like that. I don't mind doing the odd one, but when you start saying, I've got this deal and you're sending me over floor plans in my DM.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I do mentoring as well.
I've stopped doing that now, though, haven't I?
Yeah, I think you have, yeah. Now I'm on the podcast, you have.
Yeah, that'll start again.
But it's a reset. Next one's Dubai, yeah?
Yeah.
So I think obviously where I do mentoring and people pay me for my experience and obviously my knowledge, I can't be unfair to them as well at the same time.
True, yeah.
So I have to sort of have a barrier, and I feel a bit of a bastard sometimes sitting there saying it, but you know what? I'll offer you and say, look, I don't mind sharing the knowledge to you, but these people are paying me. So unfortunately, like, if you want to get that
that's
knowledge,
a very good point.
I'll happily like mentor you and stuff, but I need to know if I'm mentoring the right person as well, that they're on the same mindset and
100%.
the way they want to like push forward. Because if you're not, I just won't bother.
No, there's nothing more frustrating than mentoring somebody who doesn't actually care. And I've done it. It's painstaking.
They just look at the money and they go, "Oh, you're getting loads of money."
Yeah, they think it's easy.
It's not.
No.
And you sit there and say, you're going to, if you know, a lot of them sit there and a lot of people come up and they say, I want to leave my job. You say, okay, why do you want to leave your job? And they sit there and go, I just want to have the freedom. You're like, next 10 years.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Next 10 years, you ain't going to have freedom.
No.
Not unless 10 years, you've got to have your blinkers like that, because it's going to take time.
Yeah.
People that sit there and say in property, you can get rich quick. You can do. It's going to be a lot of stress and added pressure for it. To be able to be rich in a year or two, you need a lot of dough behind you, and you need to be blinkered on and doing nothing.
Yeah.
Property.
Yeah. I always say property's not a get rich quick scheme. It's a get rich guaranteed scheme.
Yeah.
But it takes time. Yeah.
And people they sit there and say, they go, oh, you can earn this and this and that. It takes time.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely years.
Last question, mate, before I let you go.
Yep.
One piece of advice that sticks out for you that if I sat down as a brand new investor today, I said, right, Nick, give me one bit of advice, what would that be?
Give me all your money. I will teach you everything you need to know, and you'll be very rich, and we'll be on my yacht in Dubai.
Brilliant.
That's it.
Excellent, mate. That'll be the highlight to preview the...
Do you want to do a proper one now?
Yeah, go on then, if you don't mind.
So my bit of advice would be, do your due diligence. Start to get to know the people who are good in the industry. Showcase and have a look at what they're doing. Check on companies' house to see if they actually are proof in the pudding. If they are showing something and they're not showing it on their accounts and their asset balance sheet, big red flag.
Yeah, it's not difficult nowadays.
No,
is
it's not. And that's part of the due diligence process. If you want to trust someone and give your money to them, why are you not checking out how much money they've got?
Exactly.
And if they're selling you a course for, I don't know, crash course for 20 quid or something, they're going to be selling you something else at the end of it. So I've got views on that, but hey, I'll leave it up to yourselves.
100%. Mate, I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me,
it's
mate.
It's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
And on the next one, we'll be sat in Dubai. I'll
we might have something else coming up as well, aren't we?
Well, hopefully, mate, yeah.
Yeah, I'll get that one done.
Yeah,
sorted.
that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Keep it under wraps for now, but that needs to happen. Thank
We
you,
will
mate.
do. Thank you very much, mate.
To everyone listening, if you got value from today's episode, please do leave us a review. It really does help. This has been Back to Brick. I'm David Lamb. Until next time, take care.